Hello everybody, welcome to another analysis. This is Diamond level play. Diamond. We got a Zerg versus Terran. This guy just says U2 with nothing else being said right now.
Oh yeah.
It's very interesting.
ViBE happy.
Thank you very much, Doge dude, for the 8-month resub. Welcome back, dude. Thank you, thank you. I am ViBE happy right now. Thank you, man. Alright, so, yeah. Catalyst is in a diamond level ZvT. We're gonna see what he's doing, how to help him improve his gameplay, what he can do better, what he's doing that's not good. And first things first is, you know, as I always say every time, I want to say this every time until I see everyone doing it, because it's so easy to do it. Stack them close mineral patches, just because it would help your first minute of the game get your hatchery down faster and all that stuff, and it just makes your game better. But not a big deal. We've talked about it 500 times already, so I won't go into it. It's just, yeah, you get the point. Anyone who has not seen it, I highly encourage you to go watch some of my old replay analysis videos from maybe like you know, any point in time over the past like 2 years. I've talked about it probably like literally 500 times. So you'll, if you're thirsty for knowledge, you'll hear me talk about it many times. Okay, so overall build's fine. 17 hatch into a 18 gas 17 pool. It's totally good. Yeah, you went 17 hatch, right? Or was it 16 hatch? If it was, I just want to be right. It was 17 hatch, okay? I couldn't remember if you went 16 or not. Either way is fine against Terran. I would say it's mandatory to go 16 hatch against Protoss and Zerg. But against Terran, you could literally be fine with a 16 or a 17. I prefer a 17 against Terran because they won't punish you at all for it. And it's slightly more economical because you get more drones out faster. So, yeah. I like that you're prioritizing your gas. You're a good boy so far. Good job. C9, you're doing great. I am proud of you. The only real mistake you've made so far in this whole replay analysis that's very damaging to you is that before you hit the play button, you didn't veto this shitty map that is Submarine, and now this is going to be a super hard game for you. Okay. Bunker. Bunker. Also, very aggressive bunker. Now, let's make sense of this. I would say, for you, it would be in your best interest to react to this bunker in a certain way, which is, this is where meta comes into the game, okay? This bunker is, let me tell you how this makes me feel right now as a Zerg player and why I look at it this way. There's two things about this bunker that look fucked up. Number one is it's really fast. This bunker is super fast, and this was also a scouting SCV. Okay? Let's break it down entirely, okay? Let's break it down. Watch. SCV gets to your base. He gets to your base. Watch his movement with this SCV. He goes into the main base. He scouts around the mineral line. He goes up to the top of your base. He does a full lap, essentially. And then he decides, you know what? I'm going to build a bunker now. Now, let me tell you why this seems like it's not real. I haven't even seen what's going to happen yet in this game, but I'm already feeling like this isn't real. And here's why I would say it's probably not real. In general, if you have a player that is going to proxy fucking bunker you, what they're going to do is they're going to pull as many SCVs as they want to make barracks. So if this is a 2-racks, they're going to pull at least, and that's at least, by the way, at least 2 SCVs early on, and then they might pull more if they're super all in. If it's 3 racks, they'll pull 3 and then maybe more. If it's 4 racks, they'll pull 4 and then maybe more. Now, in no fucking realm does it ever make sense to literally bunker marine rush someone when you sacrifice one of your SCVs in the early game to scout the Zerg's base. Why now? If you're like, ViBE, why does that make sense? Can you please explain why that makes sense? Yeah, I'm glad you asked. Yeah, of course I can. Here's why. Despite you going for pool first, hatchery first, gas, no gas, doesn't matter. Why does it not matter? It doesn't matter because if your opponent is already going to build a bunker in your fucking natural, it means that they are already proxying you because you cannot build a bunker until a barracks is done. So if ideally what he wants you to think is he goes, I'm about to run Marines in your face. Okay, this is like him trying to meta you going, I'm making Marines in your face. But nobody in their fucking right mind will ever delay the bunker and also weaken their economy to scout your base for like 30 seconds and then build a bunker. It'll never happen. Doesn't matter what you have as a Zerg player, you have nothing to deal with the bunker when a bunker goes down right away. It does not matter. Marines can push forward and try to set up the bunker. That is the whole point, right? It's not about getting a ninja bunker down. It's about, what it's really about is it's about guarding the bunker while you set it down with SCVs and Marines. That's what it's really about. And then if the bunker goes up, it becomes a problem for Zerg. And then suddenly the bunker could be repaired and maybe whatever happens after that is fine. But the point I'm trying to make here is you have very, very limited money as a Terran player if you want to proxy racks into bunker rush. It's very limited. You have like 8 SCVs mining the mineral line or like 9 SCVs mining the mineral line. You don't have like 16. You don't have an orbital yet either, so there are no mules. Your money is like barely moving. So you can barely afford everything as it is already, so nobody is going to fucking proxy racks you and then also scout you with another SCV while they're proxy raxing you and then go, okay, now I'll build a bunker. If they're going to proxy rax you, they're going to build a bunker regardless of what you're doing. Makes no sense. Like, no one's going to scout you and invest their whole build into proxy racks and go, oh, wait, it's a bad idea. Let's lift off our 4 racks proxy and go back to our base and fly away. I'm not building the bunker now because I just got my scout off and it seems like it's not a good idea. No, that doesn't apply because if you proxy fucking racks, you're doing it no matter what at that point. If you proxy racks and decide it's a bad idea after all your proxy racks are done, you've already lost the game. Okay? You've already lost. Like, you don't win from there. That is such a bad decision. ViBE, we get it. Hey, you know what? Tim. 10 minutes. Okay? 10 minutes, Tim. Think about what you just said. 10 fucking minutes. Okay, so anyways. Proxy racks, right? You want to commit to it if you do it, because if you commit to it, the only thing Zerg could have to defend it is if they went pool first before a command center, or sorry, pool first. If the Zerg went pool first before a hatchery, then they could have something to fight you. But even then, if the Zerg goes pool first, it does not mean that suddenly Zerg wins. Like, proxy racks is a legit thing. So, what is it again? What does this all mean? What I feel like the Terran is doing, because of all those reasons I just said. What I feel like the Zerg is doing, or what the Terran is doing here with the proxy bunker, is they're trying to make you react, overreact. The best reaction I would say you could have here is, I would tell you to pull drones. Not a lot of them either. We're talking about maybe like 5 drones. Okay, pull like 5 drones. Kill the SCV building the bunker. Don't even have to kill the bunker. Just kill the SCV that's building the bunker, and then immediately go mine your mineral patches. So that way you can kill the bunker before it's done, and then go mine your minerals. Because the only thing I would say that is relevant here that could be annoying is if you literally let the bunker finish, and then what if he makes like a Reaper, and then comes across the map and puts the Reaper in the bunker, and then suddenly he's harassing your drones, and then he runs back into a bunker and pokes your queen. Your queen runs away. He pops out, kills a drone, goes back in the bunker, hits your queen. Like, his hatchery will never die, but he might be able to kill drones and be a little bit more annoying, and it might make you more lings than you want to make. That could happen. Maybe. So I would say killing the SCV is nice, and then going back to mining minerals. This does not look like a real proxy racks. This is a very poorly executed proxy racks if it was. And I gotta just say this, because I think it's funny. Whenever I break down the logic as to why you do something in StarCraft 2, I always think it's funny Whenever someone in Twitch chat's like, can you just move on already? We get it. You made your point. Move on. Win. I feel like those are the kinds of people that are just lazy and will never get better at StarCraft. I have to say it because it happens all the time. I feel like I have to have a lot of patience when I explain shit to people, because people, it's like if you explain like math to someone and they're like, just give me the answer. I don't want to understand how to do it. I just want the answer. Just I'm not really willing to work on it. I just need to know what the answer is. And then you just literally don't, you just like monkey see, monkey do at that point. And you have no idea why you do what you do. You're just told to do it, so you do it. So, yeah, hopefully, you know. I mean, it's going to happen either way. I just think it's funny whenever people do that shit. That's why I banned that guy for 10 minutes, because I was just like, all right, dude. Good for you. Okay, so you pulled a drone. If you pull one drone, there's a chance the bunker might finish, as we can see. This is going to be more annoying for you, and there, like I said, here comes the Reaper. So that's more annoying for you now, and now you have to make more links. You do not want to be making links to fight this. This is not the right idea. You're already behind. You have now already fallen behind. Okay? Also, yeah, the guy who wants this replay analysis, Catalyst, he's not the one I'm talking about. It's someone else in chat. I just was like, okay, bro. Catalyst, you're great. C9, you're fucking great. It's just that's like a fucking grinds my gears kind of moment right there, because I get that shit all the time when I'm just like explaining some shit in StarCraft and someone's just like, I just want to see explosions and blood because I'm just bored. So you are getting fucked right now, C9, because you are already making more lings than you want to make here. And it's the same thing. If this Reaper kills a drone, or if it forces a larva to be a Zergling instead of a drone, it's the same thing. You're losing drones. Because you're not going to kill him with these lings. Why are you not going to kill him with these lings? Because your build is not engineered to be an all-in. I mean, I guess it could turn into an all-in if you wanted it to, because you haven't stopped mining gas yet either, which is also really bad. If you make a Bane nest now with this and just go all-in, then that's one thing. But even then, it's not great for you, because his build is not all-in at all. So if you do decide, okay, I'm just going to go for a Ling Bane all-in now, there's a very good chance that by the time you get to his base, he could very well have like a 2-on-1 setup with like a bunker and a bunch of Marines. He could have a tank. He could have a bunch of Hellions. He could have a lot of shit set up, because this build is in no means an all-in. Like he has not overly invested into this. All he has done is made a very awkward bunker that we already talked about and discussed why it meant what it meant. And what he wants you to do is overreact to it. So if he makes you make a bunch of lings, you fall behind. And it's also distracting you. Now you also just lost a drone, and you're not getting speed. You're making a spine. This is such an overreaction. If you just didn't let the bunker finish because you pulled like a couple drones and then had them go mine your minerals, 4 lings, 2 queens, game is standard. You can take your third base, all that jazz. This is the biggest overreaction ever, and it's because you're overreacting to the fact that you think he's all-inning you and he's not. This is gonna just be one Reaper in a bunker, and he'll eventually salvage it, and then he'll just go home with the Reaper will either die or it'll go home. So now he'll probably pop out of it and salvage it right now, and then hopefully you cancel the spine. This has already fucked you over a lot. Like I can tell, like you're disoriented right now, and everything's just kind of awkward for you at the moment. You're like smacking your own hatchery with this queen for a while. You've already done almost 100 damage to your own hatchery. Things are falling apart. You mined a lot of gas. You have a lot of, like, when did you actually pull off the gas? You pulled off the gas at 150. You also wasted these gas because you like were about to touch the hatchery, and then it goes and turns into minerals in your hand. So you pulled off the gas essentially at 152. Because if it turned it in, that's what it would have had. So this shit it's fallen apart for you. And this Terran, all this Terran did was he invested 25 minerals plus a Reaper Scout. Because the salvage bunker returns 75 minerals back to him. Okay? Because it's 100 mineral cost to 75%. He comes back when he salvages it. So he's got like very little investment into this. And it's just slowing you down like crazy. Like, you just making a spine is already worth it for this to be effective. And you also made 8 lings. Now you made, oh yeah, sorry, you just made 8 lings and you stopped. I thought you were making more, but that's a queen. And now you finally go back to making drones. So think about it like this, okay? You lost a drone because the Reaper killed the drone. You lost a second drone because you're making a spine. You lost 2 more drones because you made 8 lings instead of 4. So you're already down. You're already down by 4 drones from this Reaper. And you also lost the ability to make 2 more drones faster because you have 100 minerals tied up into a spine crawler on top of that. Like, that's extra cost in your build now. And you also lost money because you waited so long to take off your gas. So it's just inoptimal. And you're also missing injects now, so you're missing larva. You injected it almost like the second inject there. Like, you injected when you're like 80% of the way towards your next inject. And your spine finished. So your build is already just behind. To where it could be for you. Now, am I going to say it's behind him? Not necessarily, because I can't judge exactly how he plays the game. He might do some super inefficient shit himself. But in theory, the investment of his little bunker to the reaction of what you put into it is so bad for you. So again, all you had to do against that, kill the SCV building the bunker, and then go back to mining minerals. With like go kill it with like 4 or 5 drones. Go back to mining minerals, and then make 4 lings, just like normal ZvT. And then when his Reaper shows up, there is no second SCV. And if he were to send in a second SCV across the map when the first one dies, your lings would be out and your queen would be out by the time it got to your base, and you would be able to straight up kill the SCV again before it's done building the bunker. Or your lings might even just kill the bunker straight up if the Reaper is too passive before the queens are even out. So again, you're just playing a game. Again, I want to make sure this is the part where I really like to explain shit to people, because again, this is where I don't want to come back to this guy 100 times, but throughout this replay analysis. But like how that guy was saying, we get it, ViBE, can you move on already? Here's why it's so important to talk about this kind of shit. If your early game in StarCraft 2 is bad for any reason, it means your mid and your late game is bad. Guaranteed. You cannot have a shitty early game and suddenly have a good late game. It doesn't work like that. StarCraft 2 is like a train on a train track, and if it fucking derails, it's fucking derailed. It doesn't ever magically get back to where it should be. It doesn't work like that. You don't get seconds back. So you really, as a player, no matter who you are, if you want to get better at this game, you need to perfect every second into the game as best as you can as you go forward. So because again, if your first 2 minutes suck balls, well, guess what? The rest of your game sucks balls. It doesn't matter how good you are at mid and late game. You'll never be better than your early game. Okay, so we have a bunker now. So now here's what this means to me. I love your second Overlord scout. I want you to scout into his base with it. That's going to be super good. This Overlord, if it goes to the cliff right away, it won't die. It will not die. So as long as you just go here, you're kind of clicking awkwardly right now. You're clicking on the edge of the cliff. That could lose the Overlord potentially. You want to click directly in the center of it. But as long as you're going there, that's also fine. Because it definitely won't die. You'll get to this cliff with probably about 90 hit points left, or like maybe like 70. Somewhere between 70 and 90 for the 2 Marines hitting you from where you are. But the second Overlord going into the main is going to be huge. And here's why it's going to be huge. This is how you should look at the game of StarCraft 2. If you want high-level scouting, this is how you should kind of understand the game. He's making a bunker with Marines. Okay? So you just got harassed by a Reaper, and now 2 Marines are attacking your Overlord that is fucking here. Here's how I would read this. Number 1, you automatically know that the Marines that are here now and the Reaper all came from the barracks back from his base. There is no proxy racks. That's number 1. Number 2, a Reaper costs gas. A Reaper costs gas. Okay? So that means this dude opened with a gas. So if this dude opened with a gas, and now he's making Marines behind this, that means that where's his gas going? It's probably going into a really fast tech. Why is he making a bunker? Because it pairs well with really fast tech. So it looks like it would make sense if there is fast tech behind this for those 2 reasons. Secondly, this having only 2 Marines here says one of two things as well. It says that this dude probably either made a reactor on that barracks and then he made 2 Marines out of it because of the amount of time that has gone by, and we'll discuss that more in a minute here, or he made 2 Marines periodically out of the barracks with no reactor, and he saved money for other things. So that could mean he's either going... and that's why I'm really glad you have a second overlord coming here, because if this was the latter, if it was the no reactor, just kind of like delayed Marines here and there, because I'm going to tell you why, for anyone who doesn't understand why that makes sense, if this dude was pumping Marines the entire time with no add-on on that barracks, ever since he made the Reaper, and then he made Marine the whole time, this motherfucker could have like 4 Marines right now, okay? He could have like 4 Marines. So the fact that he's only showing you 2 means that he's either hiding Marines in his base, which is probably pretty unlikely because he wants to kill the Overlord, and that's huge if you kill the Overlord, so it's probably not hiding him. It's nice if you kill it because you fuck the Zerg over more the earlier you kill the Overlord. But it means that he probably made a reactor, because the amount of time it is to make a reactor makes up the difference of time we're missing now. And then he makes the first 2 Marines at once, because a reactor takes a lot longer to build than a Marine. It takes like almost triple the time of a Marine, like a little bit more than double. It's like 2.5 essentially. So there's a lot of options here, but all of these options, they all accumulate to one thing, which means this dude has tech. He has tech. But what kind of tech is it? Is it tech that goes with reactored Marines? So maybe it's like Marine tech medevac. Is it tech that goes into mech with the starport? So maybe he's going to swap over the barracks into a reactored factory and go into Hellions and maybe like battlecruisers, or Hellions and Banshees or whatever. Like, what kind of tech is it? We're not sure yet, but we can guarantee that there is tech. And here's the final piece of this. Because of where he's putting his bunker, we can also, with very, very high likelihood, not a guarantee yet because we haven't confirmed it, but a very high likelihood, we can almost guarantee he's already made a command center. Because why the fuck would you build a bunker that is super exposed like this in front of your natural, which can protect the expansion, if you don't even have one? Because here's the thing. If he does not have an expansion and he gets all in right now, this bunker will die super easy. It's exposed completely. So it increases the chances that if he's going for tech really fast and he's not actually expanding, that he'll just die because his bunker could have got on high ground. This just kind of shows you that his idea is he's trying to set up the fucking defense. And here's another thing. Here's another way to read this. If you expand in StarCraft 2, if you actually expand, what are you usually going to do? You're usually going to maybe harass your opponent, but also defend your base. You're going to have units defending your base if you expand. Nobody in this fucking game expands and then rallies every unit as they spawn into their opponent's base, right? Nobody does that. However, if this guy was all-inning you with no expansion and he was going for some meta bunker, if you play defensive with an all-in, you also lose. So if you are going to one base all-in somebody, you're going to honestly rally your units into their base. The second your tech units spawn, you're fucking going for your all-in. You're like, okay, battlecruiser's out, teleport immediately into their base. Things like that. Make sense? So that's why if he was all-inning you on one base and he was actually doing a meta bunker, his units that he's going to make to kill you with aren't going to be defending. They're going to be at your base. So if you can somehow defend yourself while also killing him with an all-in, he would just die because his bunker is super exposed. I hope this all makes sense. I hope it all makes sense. And if it doesn't make sense, listen to it again. It's ways you can read your opponent not only by what they make, but also where they put their things. Simply put, bunker in front of the natural means they fucking expanded. So I can almost guarantee there's a command center probably like right fucking there. It's very likely, but I love the second Overlord and I hope that you scout with it. Let's watch your scouting for a second. Okay, Overlord gets on the high ground. Good shit. But that's what I was saying. You gotta be fucking careful, right? Now it's gonna die. That's what I was saying. You gotta just click in the middle. So you just fucked yourself a little bit right there. That's exactly what I was hoping wouldn't happen. Click the middle, not the side. You were clicking like down here. And just so you know, I want you guys to understand this as well. Guys, this is not where the Overlord is located. A lot of people don't know this. This is not where the Overlord is located. Just so you know. So if this right here is right here, if the body of the Overlord is right here, that is wrong. A lot of people don't know this. Why does it work like this? It's because we're looking at StarCraft in a diagonal view. Like, imagine this is StarCraft's terrain, right? This is the camera angle into the game. It's not like this. It's not vertical. You're not looking directly down at the units. You're looking at them at a diagonal angle, like a 45-degree angle. Okay? Because that's how we can see the sides of the... That's like the only reason why I can see the Marine's foot right here and the gun and his whole chest and his face is because it's a 45-degree angle. If this was a completely vertical angle, I would only see the top of his head and his shoulders. And not, like, maybe the gun in front of him. And that's it. I would not see his chest. I would not see his waist. I would not see his leg. I would see, like, maybe the tip of his foot, his head, and his shoulders. So understanding that, if you understand that concept, that the game is diagonal and not completely up and down, it means that this is not where the Overlord is located. It means that this right here is where the Overlord is located. It's a ground marker. So when you're moving your Overlord, notice the ground marker. Look at the ground marker. That is what the Overlord is moving to. So if you tell your Overlord to click right here, if you say Overlord, move command right there, that ground marker is going to go in that green box. The Overlord's body itself is not going to go in the green box. So if that ground marker is right there, look how far above the fucking ground marker the Overlord is right now. It's way up here. So watch the ground marker. Overlord should stop right now. It looks like it's still exposed, right? You're like, dude, the Overlord's like still poking out a little bit. It's like hanging off way up here. And its body, but it's not. It's hidden, which is if you watch the Marines right now, they stop shooting. Now look at the ground marker. The Overlord is actually on the high ground, right? You're like, the Overlord's good. It's hidden right now. But the ground marker is not. The Overlord's now visible once again because the ground marker is off the cliff. It's way the fuck down here. So the ground marker is a representative of where it actually is. It works like this all the time. So if you ever cast an AoE spell onto an air unit, you cast on ground markers, not on the actual graphic of the unit itself. Which is why your Overlord gets shot again, because it's so fucking far over here. Because you put your Overlord like in the cliff area with the graphic of it, but your ground marker was way the hell over here. Okay. I want you to, hopefully you understand. Overlord's over here. I would love you to scout. You're waiting so long as well now to move your Overlord in, based on how early you got here. So now I would say this. Now it's going to be a little bit harder to read the Terran, and I would not be surprised if he already did have a command center here earlier on, and now he lifted it and moved it over here. So the fact that you lost that Overlord sucks, because if your Overlord over here was still alive, you would see the command center when it lands. I would not be surprised if it just landed. Okay? But if your Overlord was still here, you'd see, oh, command center just got there. I can confirm it, even if this one doesn't spot a command center. But now that this one's fucking dead, you're playing blind, and this one, we'll see what it does in a second. Let's actually just watch and wait for you to scout. This is a very late scout. You scouted like 5 minutes. What's up? Yeah. You want food? Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, do you need mine? Or you, okay. 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 Yep. Okay, so sorry. Your scout's super late, and it's just like at this point now, a lot more things could have happened in the time difference where you could have scouted but did not. So I would say again, you're moving into his base probably a full minute later than you would have liked. So we'll see what you see, but there very well could be a natural down here. And look what he's got. We see a tech lab starport, and we see a tech lab factory. Okay, so this is super gas heavy. There's no mineral allocation here. I would say it'd be definitely nice as well if you saw the barracks, because you could see. Okay, so now you see more barracks. Now, this is exactly what I was going to say. This looks like it could be a mech opener into bio. Why is that? Like, if you're like, ViBE, I don't understand. Why is that? Because remember what I talked about with the potential reactor? If this reactor is still dedicated to Marines, it seems more likely that it's going to be bio. Secondly, this dude's got a fucking really fast engineering bay. that seems like more of a bio thing. We are talking about Diamond. Diamond, generally speaking, isn't going to do the kind of shit that's going to go for a planetary fortress at the natural, which also could be what this means if it was going to be more mech oriented. But I'm going to tell you right now, if it's planetary fortress at the natural, that's fucking not good at all. It's really bad. Everyone who does that shit, their build is so fucking not efficient at all. Okay, it only really works against people who just don't know how to deal with it. Like people who just only know how to attack and they don't know how to actually macro. So the fact that you see 2 more racks coming down in front of your face now, this is clearly going to be bio, unless he's again trying to meta you and he cancels them later or some shit. But this looks very bio-y. And then yeah, we'll talk about what you just did in a second here. I don't like it. We'll talk about it. Yeah. Okay, so your Overlord's just kind of hanging out in the middle of his base, and he's not even killing it. Okay, so we'll come back and look at your base. I just wanted to see your scouting for a little while, and basically, 4-minute scout when you get into the Terran's base is huge at identifying what their follow-up is going to be to the early game. And the early game, this game, showed you that the Terran was going for some crazy gas build, because he went into Marines right after a Reaper. Reaper shows you he opened with gas. And Marines as a follow-up shows you he's teching hard because Marines don't cost gas. So, like, he's not making multiple Reapers, okay? He's also not showing you Hellions, which shows you that he didn't make a fucking factory and then swap it into like, a reactor, which also shows you another gas cost, because if someone's going to make Hellions and they make a reactor for their gas, it throttles their gas a little bit more, because to make Hellions 2 at a time costs gas out of a reactor. So... And it also kind of like pigeonholes their build a little bit to knowing that they're going on a Reaper build. Or, a Hellion build. They're not capable of anything. If a Terran makes a couple Marines and you don't know what they're doing after that, they have a lot of possibilities. Like, that's not that expensive. And again, he could have done this off of a reactor or not off of a reactor. And that's something as well we talked about earlier that you would want to know. Why would he put a tech lab on a starport? So there's a lot of reasons Terran could put a tech lab on a starport. One could be for a battlecruiser. It would make sense if you saw Fusion Core. Obviously, it'd be, oh, BC, Fusion Core, cool. Also, a BC would make sense. Here's another way to read BC. If there's a tech lab on a starport, and the starport's add-on, the tech lab, is doing nothing, but the BC lights are all flashing, which means the starport's making something, but the tech lab is making nothing. If that's what you see as well, and also the game timer is around like 5 minutes and like 20 seconds or beyond, and he's still making something out of this, because again, that's also a big deal. Okay, this is where everyone gets so confused, because no one pays attention to any of these details. I'm going to try and explain this again, because I know I already right there, I probably just made like 10 people be like, huh? What the fuck are you saying, Vibe? If you make a starport, and then you make a tech lab, if you get to the fucking starport right as the tech lab is done, I'm going to let you guys know a fact right there. It is impossible to make a battlecruiser. Why is that? Because a tech lab's build time on a starport is 18 seconds. It's even faster if it swaps add-ons. So like, let's say the barracks or something made a tech lab, and the starport just goes lift, move, land. Then instead of like 18 seconds, now it's only like 8 seconds to do the lift, move, land process. Or like 7 seconds. Especially if you build it like right next to the starport. Now, the build time of a fusion core, the fusion core is not even allowed to be started to be built because it's a tech path. You can't even build it until after your starport is done, and it's like 46 seconds to build a fusion core. It's 46 seconds, guys. So it's a lot faster to build a tech lab. Either way, whether you build it or you move add-ons to swap to it, it's way faster either way to do that than to build a fucking fusion core. So a fusion core, tech path-wise, won't even be done until after 5 minutes, because the starport could have a tech lab on it, very realistically, by like 4 minutes and like 30 seconds or some shit. So the fucking fusion core won't be done until probably like 5:05. 5 minutes plus. So if you're beyond 5 minutes, if you're like at 5 minutes and 15 seconds, 5 minutes and 23 seconds or something like that, and your overlord sees a starport and you're like, I haven't seen a fusion core yet, but that starport's making something on a tech lab, and it's not making any research in the add-on of the tech lab, That is very, very, very realistic for a BC, because here's another fact. If you actually make a BC, that is proper timing for a BC, and if you make a BC, it is physically impossible to to do a fake cloak upgrade or something, because you don't have enough money to do that. Like, a BC is extremely expensive. It's 400 minerals and 300 gas. You cannot afford to make a fusion core and a fucking BC and also be like, I'm getting fake cloak around again, like 5:15, 5:20, 5:09, whatever, something around that early 5-minute mark to like 5 minutes to 5:20, somewhere in that realm of time. You cannot honestly afford all of this shit all at once. However, if you scouted their base at like 5:50, 5:46, and they had a BC and they saw you flying into their base with if they saw you flying into their base with an overlord, and they're like, oh, Zerg's coming to scout me, I'm going to pull off some Marines and go kill the overlord, and I'm going to fake a cloak upgrade. That's very realistic then, because now you've now waited an extra like 30 seconds beyond the point of what is acceptable for a BC. So now that's more money that's been available to the Terran player to now do this. I know this is super in-depth scouting, but these numbers make sense. It's not just random shit I'm pulling out of my ass here. Earliest BC that can hit you off of like a fast expand is like 6 minutes. And if you don't know these numbers, you should know these numbers. How long is it? So like 6 minutes is a good, like, barracks, command center, tech into factory, starport, battlecruiser. BC could hit you at like right around 6 minutes, which means the BC is going to be finishing out of the starport around 6 minutes, like 6:10 or something. Now, if you don't know this, if I were to ask chat, how long is the build time of a BC? Does anyone know that? It's 64 seconds. If you don't know that, you should know that. BC's build time is 64 seconds. So what does that represent? It represents pretty much a minute. It's a minute. So if the BC can pop out around 6 minutes, what is 6 minutes minus a minute? It's 5 minutes, which means the BC can be started at 5 minutes. So if we get to a Terran's base and it's like 4 minutes and 26 seconds, and the fucking tech lab on the starport is added onto it already, and the starport's already building something, you know what that means? That means that is guaranteed either a Banshee or a Raven. It is not a battlecruiser, because it is physically too fast to be a battlecruiser. It is too fast for a fusion core. Okay.
What if they TP8 BCs into your mineral line at 6 minutes?
Oh my god. I love you, Mon Capitan. I know that was a meme, so I'm not going to give that a real answer. I'm going kind of high level here with the how to read someone's build. And I hope someone out there is... And also, if you guys are wondering, okay, if you're like ViBE, dude, where the fuck does 6 minutes come from? How do you get these numbers? Okay, let's do this really fast. SCV, right? Build time of a depot is 21 seconds. Okay, cool. What's the build time of a barracks? It's 46 seconds. So automatically already, we're at 1 minute and 7 seconds. What's the build time of a factory? Build time of a factory is 43 seconds. So that's 1 minute and 50 seconds in total. Okay, what's the build time of a starport? 36 seconds. That's now 2 minutes and 26 seconds. What's the build time of a fusion core? That's 46. So that's 3 minutes and 12 seconds. Okay. So 3 minutes and 12 seconds just for raw tech. Now, what's the build time of a battlecruiser? Build time of a battlecruiser is 64 seconds. So 312 plus 64 is 416. So already, just for perfect tech path, is 4 minutes and 16 seconds. That is not even including the amount of time it takes you to mine gas. That's not including a normal build that is like, for instance, if someone does something like makes a Reaper, and then a bunker, and then another bunker, and probably a natural, these things add to the timer a bit as well. So this is where you can kind of understand and again, am I saying you have to be exact? Fuck no, I'm not saying you have to be exact. You do not have to guess exactly, which is exactly why I said, remember how I was explaining these things? If you get to the Terran's base between these numbers, like between 5 minutes and 5:23, or whatever the fuck I said, you know, like it's like ranges. There are ranges that are acceptable in StarCraft. There is someone who can do shit. The reason why it's a range is because you can do shit really fast by going really quick gas priority, or you can do shit efficiently and focus on mineral priority and slowly get your gas into it. This is a huge concept for scouting that makes a lot of sense if you understand that. So here's another way to explain it. If somebody goes for a build that is like, I'm going to go double gas and then barracks, that is a gas priority that is not efficient at all, okay? It's not efficient. That is shitty mineral income because they're going so crazy on gas so fast. So if that person does shit like this, they will be in the faster realm of range. So if I say you can get hit by something between 5 minutes and 5:30, well, guess what? Double gas guy is going to be hitting you around 5 minutes. So it's going to be faster because he's going crazy gas. But what it does to the player who does that, the kind of player that goes for something faster, puts themselves in a situation where they have to do more damage to make it worthwhile. Because their own build is behind where it should be economically. The trade-off is they attack you faster. So if if you actually defend it and they don't do damage because you prepare for the range of what's possible, well, guess what? Their build is they set themselves behind to try and do damage to you as really fast as well, and maybe fuck you over even more. And if you don't take any damage there, you are miles ahead of them throughout the rest of the game. However, the kind of player that focuses on minerals instead and goes for like, okay, well, now I'm ready to take my gas efficiently, and now I'll take my other gas efficiently. Those kinds of players will usually be on the later end of the spectrum of like, again, the range is like 5 minutes early or 5:30 for like later. Those players will probably hit you more around 5:30. So yes, it will be easier for you to defend it because you've had more time to prepare for it. It puts the player who's attacking you in a good position as well, because even if they don't do a ton of damage, they're still in a good spot economically to progress through the game from there. So if they happen to actually still do a lot of damage, guess what? They're miles ahead and they just win the game. I hope that concept makes sense. And that's how you can read what your opponent's doing if you understand what a range is supposed to be. And how do you know what a range is supposed to be? You have some sense of understanding what tech path is and how long it takes. That's all it is. Now, is it easy to do that? Fuck no, it's not easy to do that. It's actually pretty hard to like understand all of them, like all these ranges of time. But if you're someone out there who doesn't even understand this concept, start trying to commit numbers to memory. And so you have some idea, because like I'm sure some players out there will play a game of StarCraft 2 and go, you know what? I really feel like there should be a Void Ray hitting my base right about now. And suddenly, 10 seconds later, a fucking Void Ray hits your base. And you're like, I knew it. Why do you know it? Because you feel it. You've been in that situation tons of times and you just know it's going to happen. But you can actually understand it even more if you know what is capable out of your opponent through time. And that's why scout, if you scout, so like you can already kind of assume what your opponent's gonna do theoretically, but if you get a scout into their base at a good time when you kind of like you're assuming shit, but now you can confirm shit, it adds things up even more. So again, when the scout went into the base at 5 minutes, remember 5 minutes is super late. And look at the starport, it's not building anything. So like the fact that we're at 5 minutes right now and the starport's not building anything and the tech lab's not building anything, you know what I would think right now? I would think to myself, in general, I would be like, okay, I feel like he might be about to finish a fusion core and he might want to make a BC. So, like, if we're looking at just the starport, we're not talking about the tech lab on the factory, which is fucking up all of this for another reason, which we'll talk about in a second. But if I just looked at the starport and the tech lab, I would think this is probably about to start making something, which is going to be a BC. Because if he's been making nothing before this, it means he's saved his gas for a BC. And it means he's also not investing into an upgrade for something else. And because you can make a Banshee, you can make a Raven, you can make a fucking everything else that doesn't require a tech lab, I guess, out of the starport before the fusion core is done. It's just the BC that requires a fusion core So it would make sense if you look at the starport and think automatically, this is probably a BC build. Now going again now, so that's like the first realm of scouting you should go into. And I'm going to explain one more thing about scouting, and then we're going to kind of just move away from the scouting concept altogether because I don't want to make this whole analysis about just scouting. But now going one step further than we just talked about with build time of a tech path, this makes this looks like BC. If we're going to go one step even further into like higher level scouting, we could also say that this build is just kind of fucked up instead of a BC, and here's why. If you actually make shit, because look at the factory. Look what it's doing. See how sparks are flying out of the front of the factory? You know what that means? It means he's building something out of the factory. Okay? So if this Terran player is building nothing out of the starport, out of a tech lab, and he is building something out of a tech lab on a factory, what does that mean? It means that he's building a gas unit out of the factory, and that is actually why the battlecruiser is not being made right now, because this is probably not a battlecruiser build, because nobody who's going to go battlecruisers also makes gas units out of the factory, because you can't afford that. You can barely fucking afford the BC itself at this point. So if this was a BC build and he's like, I'm just going to delay my BC for no reason by like 30 seconds because I'm going to make a couple tanks. That build sucks ass if he does that. So this already looks like it's not going to be BCs, even though it makes me question why tech to the starport as fast as he did. That's what I would say. This build now, it just seems like it's inefficient. And we can see why he does it with your Overlord moving in deeper. And it's because he's making 2 barracks right now, and he wants to just use this starport to make an add-on and swap it off. He actually swaps it off. Does he make a Raven entirely? Maybe he makes a Raven. Okay, he likes a Raven with his build. Sure. I thought he swapped it off faster than that last time I looked at this. But there you go. Now you have your answer. He made a fucking Raven. And like, look at this though. Like, look at the money, right? And look at the build. This, like, the build is awkward. I'm not going to go too much into detail about, like, I'm not going to pick on this guy or anything like that. It's just that this is so inefficient for Terran, and finally he swaps it off, and there you go. Okay, so now, hopefully all the information we just kind of ran through there helps. I'm not gonna lie. I think scouting, like, if I had to give what is the most difficult thing to teach somebody in StarCraft 2, I think scouting, just overall scouting, the idea of scouting is not that hard to teach somebody. Going, look at their base at this time. It's like a 5 out of 10 difficulty. It's like, it's not that bad. But scouting comprehension, that's fucking really hard to teach people. Scouting comprehension is super difficult to let someone understand what the hell they see. So, hopefully, what I just talked about helps some people out there go, holy shit, I never thought about it like that. You just opened my mind a bit about how to read scouts. How to, like, actually fucking understand what I see. And that's how, that is, those, like, the process I just went through here with his base, if you do that process with everybody's possible tech path, you will have such a better level of understanding of this game a couple months down the line for yourself. You'll be like, wow, I know how to rebuild so much better now. And things just make more sense when you get little pieces of information over time. Okay. Now, anyways, let's go back a bit and let's talk about your build specifically now. So we went crazy into scouting there. Let's just talk about your build. We already talked about how inefficient your build was with the... Okay, your build's super inefficient for more reasons now. Okay. Catalyst, I'm actually just going to speed forward. And I'm going to look at what your idea is. I want to see what you actually want to be doing with your build. What is the idea here? We have a Roach one. We have Roach speed. We have a Hydrogen. We have a Hydra speed. You're going mass Hydras and Roaches. Okay. I don't know what. We'll talk about it more. I don't know what this build's supposed to be, though, honestly, C9. Because, again, from the early information read that we got from the scout, I would say that this build would make more sense against mech, but even then, I would say that this build would just not be good, period. If we're talking about Diamond Plus. If this is supposed to be your own version of B to GM, it's so fucking inefficient. I could say 100 things about this build already that I just saw about economy build-up. For instance, we're at 10.5 minutes and you still have 70 drones, right? You're at 10 minutes and you're still not even close to maxing out. And you're going for mass hydras and roaches. There is a lot of problems with this build. What the general concept I would say about this build, about what I think is wrong with it, is that as a Zerg player, you have literally only one goal throughout the game. Only one goal. And that goal is this. You either cut drones when you want to do your all-in, and you do your all-in, and that's it. So that you're allowed to cut drones like that. Or you make drones as much as possible, realistically, to get to the point to where you don't need to make them anymore, and then you make army the rest of the game. You only make safety units. You don't make aggressive, half-assed units. And I watched you make probably about 60 Zerglings throughout the early part of this game. Before, and then you made like rounds of lings, rounds of drones, rounds of lings, rounds of drones, rounds of hydras, rounds of drones, rounds of roaches, rounds of drones. You were like going crazy on units. And that is why right now at 10 minutes, you're only at 176 supply. When in reality, you could be at 200 supply with the same composition and the same upgrades and all this shit about a minute and a half before this. So now let's actually go back and one final time and just talk about like your idea here. So first things first, right? This is after you like, and also your resource allocation, it makes no sense. I would say this. You scouted his base, right? You scouted the starport and the factory, and we already talked all about this. We don't got to talk about it again. But your reaction to this was to make faster gas. Like you actually, the thing is you premeditated it. It was a premeditated layer and fast gas. There is nothing good about this. There's literally no point to rush your gas and undervalue your mineral lines and rush your layer. And now you're reacting also with a bunch of spores. So right now, if we look at that mineral income, you have 37 drones at 5 minutes and 10 seconds. Here's a crazy thing, okay? Here's a crazy thing. And you also made a bunch of lings too. Like this is fucking insane. I could show you an example. Okay, I literally could show you an example right now of I've done it many times on stream before. I've done it in coaching lessons before. So if anyone out there who's like, show me an example, Vibe, and the YouTube video people, just look at other coaching lessons I've done for Zerg players, and there's a high chance you're going to see an example of this, like learning how to macro and plat or some shit, or diamond. But you could honestly be right now at over 5 minutes. You could be around 60 drones already. 60 drones. And what really has happened up to this point in this game? Nothing. You scouted everything. You actually scouted everything too. Your first overlord, obviously, I would have sucked. It sucked that it died, but you scouted the bunker and more Marines after the first Reaper harass, like, which is normal, by the way. The bunker was the weird part, but it wasn't even like an investment. We talked about that too. But you scouted the defensive posture. You scouted nothing being made out of the starport, and you scouted the tank being made out of the factory. I'm going to tell you right now, queens themselves are already they're already enough to defend all of this. You don't even need spores, and your queens are multi-purpose, right? So I don't mind that you're making these queens because they can make creep spread. However, you're making these queens ridiculously late. Like if we went back and looked, like this natural finished probably like a little bit under 2 minutes. And you have just now finally started making your second queen out of the hatchery beyond 5 minutes. So like your hatcheries have been idle on making drone or on making queens for the longest time. Look at your larva as well. You have 9 fucking larvae on your hatcheries right now because you are freaking out about this. This is not even a real thing. This is this is where comprehension comes into play, right? Again, we talked about it, so we're not going to talk about it again. But the last thing you should ever feel like is happening right now out of this player is a battlecruiser or a banshee with cloak or anything like that. Like, you're not getting harassed by any of this bullshit right now. For all, again, look at the, like, people who don't know how to read builds, start putting these numbers to memory. Like, start trying to remember them, and you'll grow as a player, right? So this is massive. You overreact. This is just double overreactions from Zerg. You overreacted to the bunker with the Reaper, and now you are overreacting to the Starport Tech Lab, and you are making ridiculous spore coverage on top of not spinning your larva, on top of making queens again on top of that. And here's the last thing you're doing. The queens are actually fine. I don't give a shit about the queens. Make the queens. They're great. They give you creep spread. But you're making spores, and here's the other thing you're doing. You are rushing a Hydra Den. That's fucking terrible. Because it costs gas. You don't want to do a build that has crappy ass mineral income and then high gas income early. Because fast Hydras are fucking terrible. They're complete shit. Because if you can make 10 Hydras really fast, or you can make 30 Hydras a little bit later, I'd much rather have the 30 Hydras a little bit later than the 10 Hydras really fast. Another reason why 10 Hydras really fast blow ass is because queens, straight up defensively, are better than Hydras. Secondly, Hydras, when they don't have range or don't have speed, are fucking garbage. They're so bad without their upgrades. And if you rush Hydras and kind of skip the realm of queens to defend air units, if you're like, well, I need Hydras to defend Banshees. Hydras perform like shit when they don't have their upgrades, and you'll have less power because, like I said before, queens just have more staying power 1-to-1. A queen is the same supply cost as a Hydra, and a queen is just better than a Hydra defensively. Hydras are much better aggressively than queens because they're way more mobile and other things. They also do more DPS when they have upgrades. But when they don't have, and then like they'll also have like lurkers in front of them or roaches in front of them or something will tank for them, so they don't, because they are very papery. They die super easy, but they do good damage essentially. But if you're trying to fight a fucking BC with Hydras, I would much rather have 7 queens fighting a BC than 7 Hydras. Is the queen 150 minerals? Yes, it is. And you want to know the beautiful thing about that? It's just minerals. Doesn't cost gas. Look at the larva, though. We're now at 11 larvae sitting there. No larva is being spent. Now you're getting Widowmine dropped. And you're getting Widowmine dropped as you're trying to do an attack. This attack is very ill-advised. I'm gonna say this right now. Attacks like this only make sense. We're gonna talk about this attack really fast, okay? I'm gonna kind of, I want to break down the things that I feel like are the core fundamental problems of this game, because talking about the whole game means nothing if we don't talk about why your game has problems, right? So here's another problem. This attack right now is fucking you over also because you're not paying attention to this at all. You're completely tunnel visioned onto your attack. So right now your drone count's at 37 and now it's at 31. You just lost like 6 drones to these Widowmines. You're about to lose more. The third Widowmine is about to go off. You just lost some larvae. You just lost 3 larvae and a drone as well on that last Widowmine hit, which sucks, right? That's a lot of damage you just took for no reason. And now you're actually behind the Terran in workers, which is that's shit territory for Zerg, right? That's really bad. And it's because you're going for this attack on his bunker that is not even going to break the bunker and not even kill every Marine. And 1 Marine lives on the side of it, and then all your Lings die. Okay? So that netted you a loss of like double the fucking investment. Like he loses half of what you lose, essentially. Okay, so now let's go back really quick and talk about what would have made more sense. For that kind of an attack, right? Your Overlord right now. Your speed. So it all accumulates. Here's another number for you, okay? Here's another number for you. This is how I want people to read games, and my God, if people will do this, it'll help you so much. I know I'm being super hard on you, C9, by the way. I fucking love you, man. I'm using you as an example right now. Don't take it personal. I know you're great. But yeah, I want you guys. This is a concept that people just don't understand. Okay, check it out. Look at the Zerg's gas right now. 84, 88, 92, 96, 100. FitFam, thank you.
ViBE, you.
Thank you, FitFam, for the 20-month resub. Appreciate you, man. Thank you. Check this out. 79-second upgrade. What does that mean? What is 19 plus 14? That's 33, right? So, and then add a minute to it. So at 33 minutes and 33 seconds, so what I just did was 2 minutes and 14 seconds plus 79 seconds. Okay. So at 3 minutes and 33 seconds, this speed upgrade is going to be done if you started it right now. Right? If you did that, what if you, and then now, so you start, like, ideally you're not being distracted by the bunker. So you're right now what's happening to you is you're being tunnel visioned by the bunker. This bunker fucked you over to not kill the second bunker, and here's why. If you made a speed upgrade right now, like, aggression has to be efficient. It has to be, it's timings. If you hit a timing that is fucking late, it's gonna fail every time. Every second that goes by when your timing should have hit your opponent and it doesn't, you might as well tell your timing. Like, so let me say it like this. If your timing has like an 80% success rate, if you hit it flawlessly, like right at the right time, 80% success rate, let's say 4 seconds goes by, it's no longer 80% success rate. Now it's like a 77% success rate. Say 4 more seconds goes by. Now it's like a 72% success rate. Let's say like 4 more seconds goes by. Now it's like a 65% success rate. Another 4 seconds goes by. Now it's like a 52% success rate. Blah, 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 whatever. Every second that goes by, your percent chance of it working goes down. That's how StarCraft works. And anyone who doesn't realize that, you need to know that. That's fucking super important about this game. You can't go, oh, well, I watched a pro gamer build and I did his build, but he makes it work and I don't. I don't understand why. Well, maybe it's because he does his timing and the pro game you watched at 4 minutes and 20 seconds and you do yours at 6 minutes and 15 seconds. And it's not the same fucking thing at all. Because it's way later and your opponent has way more time to prepare for it. So if your fucking speed is supposed to be done at 3:33, it should be started right now, but you don't even start it from 2:14 until... You don't even start speed it should have started at 2:14, but you don't start it until 2:34. You started it 20 seconds late. Okay? Just speed alone, you started 20 seconds late. Now let's look at your production. At this point as well, so your speed could have been 23 seconds in production, but it's only 3 seconds in production right now. Now let's look at what else you see with the Overlord. While speed's going. 333 is the magic number, by the way. 333. He shows you a bunker at 317. This right here is a snap second decision-making call here. And right now you have 1 larva out. You have 2 injects on their way. And you currently have 7 Zerglings. You could turn, over the next 30 seconds, you could turn another 6 larvae. Or really, it's not even 30 seconds. It's more like 18 seconds, because you're already like almost halfway done with the inject, and halfway done is 15 seconds to go. So you have like 18 seconds to go, because you're a little bit less than halfway here. You have like 18 seconds until your inject is done, and then when the inject is done, you have 17 seconds of build time. So what is 18 seconds plus 17 seconds? That's 35, right? Yes. So 18 seconds plus 17 seconds. That means 35 seconds from now, you could be running across the map with all your lings And right now you have the ability to have 9. And in the time it would be 18 seconds. That's another 1 larva guaranteed per hatchery. Plus an inject per hatchery. Maybe even 2 larvae, like almost 2 larvae per hatchery. Because it's 18 is, like, a larva spawns every 10 seconds. So 18 is not quite, we'll just round it off and say fucking 20 seconds, okay? So we can guarantee there's the extra 2 automated larvae. So, 20 seconds goes by, and that guarantees all the larvae we're looking for here. That's 6 larvae per the injects, and that's 4 larvae per automated. Where am I getting these fucking numbers from again? In 20 seconds, guaranteed this inject is going to be done. It's going to be done by like 5 seconds before that, or 4 seconds before that, or some shit. 3 seconds before that, 2 seconds before that. I'm averaging here. Because again, this right here represents, right there, that represents around like 14 seconds, 13 seconds, somewhere around there. Ish, 12 seconds. Somewhere, because like this right here is probably about 15. That is 29 exactly, by the way. All of it's 29. So whatever you think that is of the max, that's where we're getting this number from. We're ripping it out of our butt over here. Thank you very much for the raid, Sal. Much love, dude. I'm doing a little bit of replay analysis, teaching people how to fucking play the game. Thank you, man. Much love. But the point is this Overlord spotted this bunker, and if you had the idea to go, I'm gonna bust that bunker, well, make that decision right now. You make it right now, because if you make the decision too late, it becomes really, really shitty. It doesn't work anymore. So if you actually went, okay, well, now I'm going to make links to bust this bunker. Again, 20 seconds plus 17 seconds. These are where the numbers are coming from. 20 seconds represents the rest of the inject plus 1, 2 larvae per hatchery. So like 10 seconds is a larva automated. 20 seconds represents 2 of that, because 10 times 2 is 20. So 2 larvae automated per hatchery, which is 4, because 2 hatcheries exist right now, plus 2 injects finishing, 3 inject larvae per hatchery, which is 6. That is 10 larvae that we could utilize. Okay, 10 larvae we could utilize in the next 20 seconds, guaranteed. That's fucking 20 zerglings on top of 7 plus the final one that's already there. We're not waiting for it to spawn. It's already there. That could be 9. So that's 29 zerglings that would have speed 37 seconds from now. Where does 37 come from? The 20 seconds we just talked about of waiting for it, and the 17-second build time of a zergling, because that also, we have to wait for them to spawn, right? So 37 seconds from now, we have 29 zerglings running across the map. Okay? So let's go to 37 seconds from now. 37 seconds from now would be 3 minutes and 44 seconds. Let's see what the Terran has at 3:44. Okay, 3:45, whatever. You see what we have? We have 4 Marines that are going to go inside of a bunker. And a command center that's landing right now. Now, the amount of travel time for a Ling to go from here to there is not that long. It's about like 8 seconds to 10 seconds. This map is super tiny. I would say roughly 10 seconds. That's being fair. 10 seconds is fair. So now let's say if the Lings are done now, if we just made the Lings and they're done now, which is all the math we just did a second ago, now we go attack him. Let's just be fair and say, that's not 37 seconds later. What are you talking about? What's 317 plus 37? Is it 347? Am I doing math bad here? I think it is. Okay, so now it... Okay, sorry. I think I was off by 10 seconds. Sorry. I'm doing a lot of math on stream, boys. Sometimes it's a little hard. Okay, we'll go here. 10 seconds later. So this is when Lings would have been done. Sorry. My bad. Thank you for the correction. I apologize. Now let's look at the bunker. Guess what? It's a bunker that's done. 4 Marines are inside of it. Now your Lings would be done. So now, 10 seconds from now, Lings would run across the map, and 10 seconds later they get to the base. So Lings would be arriving at his base roughly around like 4:05, 4:04, 4:05. Look what he fucking has. Nothing. This sucks ass. He has nothing here. You would, if you had 29 Lings, you would totally break this. Right? Like, this does not look that... This would be very breakable with 29 Lings. Again, if that was your goal. If that was your goal. And then Let's let go. Finally, 10 seconds later, your lings would be arriving right now. Your lings would have literally crossed the map really fast with speed. They'd be like engaging the bunker like right here, right now, and you would be easily killing this shit. There's 4 Marines still only in a bunker, and there's nothing else. There's 2 Widow Mines sitting in the main, not even burrowed. This natural would have to lift off. You would kill the bunker. You would kill the 4 Marines inside of it. He'd probably burrow the Widow Mines right here outside the depot wall, and he'd raise his depot. And you would have a contained Terran on one base. If that was your plan. But you don't decide to even do this plan until like 5 minutes and 20 seconds. So again, we'll say 4:05 is when it should have happened. When does it actually happen? It happens at 5 minutes and roughly 24 seconds is when you get here. You attack him about a minute and 20, like 80 seconds later than it should have happened. 80 seconds of time, and it decreases your percentage of it working. Because now look what he has. It's not just 4 Marines in a bunker. It's 4 Marines in a bunker plus 8 Marines behind it. So this is now 12 Marines shooting your fucking lings. And 12 Marines is a lot scarier than 4. Especially when it's supported, again, by a bunker. So this is the kind of concept I'm talking about. Whenever I tell people, if you're going to be aggressive, you need to be assertive about it. If you waste time, your aggression's going to fail. Like it's you can't just waste time and go, it's still the same thing. It's probably going to work. It's not the same thing. It's going to it's a higher chance of failing. It's most likely going to get to his base and just die, and you're going to be like, wow, that sucked. That was a terrible attack. And this is a super fucking late attack. And you again, you had the information to know this was happening before your speed was even done, even if you got speed optimally. But automatically, and here's ultimately the final, so I just explained the whole concept, but I want to just say this last bit. If you played the game and you were like this, if you go, oh fuck, whoops, I didn't get my Zergling speed until I was at like 50 gas above 100. So I was at 150 gas, and then I finally started Zergling speed. In no fucking world should you ever think, you know what I'm going to do now? A speedling timing. It makes no sense, because automatically, even if you do it flawlessly from that point, that fucking super delayed by like 20 seconds or whatever it was, timing you already have, your chance of success already is like now like 20% lower, essentially. It's already like going to more likely fail either way now, because it's so late. So I would have advised against it. If you would have been like, should I do a speed, if I was, again, sitting next to you and you were like, should I do a speedling timing vibe? There's a bunker out there. I'd be like, well, you didn't get your speed till super late. So although, yes, that's a super exposed bunker, if your timing is going to be later now, chances are you're not going to kill it. So don't do it. It's like if you're playing poker, what you just gave yourself is you gave yourself like pocket threes and you're like fucking all in. Let's do it. It's not like pocket aces anymore. It's now pocket threes. It's a piece of shit hand you just gave yourself. And you're trying to make it work. And it won't, because chances are it won't work. It's low. It's crappy hand now. It's bad because it's so late. The longer it takes for you to do something in StarCraft, the weaker it gets in terms of aggression. ViBE, do you do poker coaching? I don't do. I just use an example, but no, I don't coach poker. But it's just the point is you don't want to do things that you feel like are going to fail. It's odds. You're playing odds is what you're doing. Reactionary macro play is literally odds. One word to describe it is odds. You take the highest odd success chance and you run with it every time. And if your build is already inoptimal for aggression, odds are it sucks. Okay, and then now, you know, from here, we'll kind of speed through it now, because I'm telling you right now, remember the whole derailed thing we talked about? Where, like, if your build's derailed, it's fucking derailed. Overreaction to the bunker. Big overreaction to the first bunker, right? Poor reaction, we talked about all of it. Poor reaction to the, not only, like, overinvested economy with gas, going for like super quick hydras and layer and shit. That's number 2. So over invested gas economy. That's the second thing that fucked you over this game. The third thing that fucked you over this game was overreaction to seeing a starport. And then finally, the committed bunker attack. That was not ideal because you even double dipped into it. You just failed the odds were low that it would ever work, and you just threw away a shitload of lings into the bunker. Look at units lost right now. You only lost 2 units to the Reaper. You just lost 30, or sorry, you also lost 1 Overlord. So you lost 37 Zerglings to the bunker. Because he has not attacked you once yet, and that was the first time he attacked him. So he only attacked. He killed 1 drone and 1 Zergling with the Reaper, and then the Reaper died. And then he killed an Overlord with his Marines. No, sorry, he killed 2 Overlords with Marines. So that's actually 36 Lings. I take it back. Sorry, all the shit combined, you lost 2 Overlords, 1 drone, 1 Ling early game. So you lost 36 Zerglings died up against this bunker. And what did you do after 36 Lings died? You made 24 Lings again. And why'd you do that? It's because you were like this. Ah, shit, that attack failed. And what if he attacks me now? 24 Lings. You just shouldn't have done the attack in the first place. You just double dipped into Lings again to now try to play a defensive macro game. Because you made your quote unquote safety units. So every one of those things I just said combined, this build is, imagine a scene in a movie where a train is just going smoothly for the first minute of the scene that you see, and then someone plants a bomb on the train track on a bridge. And the fucking train, it blows up like 10 seconds before the train arrives, and the train just literally flies into the fucking cliff off the fucking train track, and then explosions happen everywhere. And the train is just, you just hear like carnage with like metal just slamming into metal, and it's grinding, and then there's explosions hitting to a fucking cliff. That's essentially what happened to this build just now. Like your build is so fucked at this point that it honestly doesn't even matter if I talk about it anymore. It's no recovery. Because of everything we just talked about. But I'll go through it really fast now. Like really, really fast. I'll do it like on ×4 to the end of it here. So we'll just power through the end of it here. But your build, you've already lost the game. You should already lose the game every time if you play like this against Terran. Like this is so off. Also, last thing I'll say, I'll pause one more time and say this. For those of you that are like, okay, ViBE, you keep saying his build's wrong, but how do you do a right build? If you're going to go for a Speedling 3rd base expand, this is how your gas should be, okay? Like you go 17 hatch, 18 gas, 17 pool. Get gas for speed, rip 2 drones off. So you're literally leaving 1 drone on gas for a while. You do not put 2 drones to replace back into that gas to go back into 3 out of 3 on your first gas until you are over 32 drones on mineral lines. That means fully saturated main and fully saturated natural. And then finally, when you have more drones coming out, then they fill in the gas. So you literally get 16 out of 16, 16 out of 16, and you never touch that again. You let it be. And then you make more drones to go to your 3rd, and you can take 2 of those drones to now go back into this gas. Then you take gases 2 and 3, gases 2 and 3, not drones 2 and 3 for the first gas. Now the next gas is 2 and 3 entirely. When your 3rd base has like 12 drones on it, on the mineral line, then you can take gases 2 and 3. And then you do not take gases 4, 5, and 6. You take them all at the same time, but you take those once you're above 16 on every base. Like, you have 16 here, and you have like 19 here, or some shit. Then you can be like, okay, final, gas. And now you're still making drones, and you quickly saturate those last 3 gases. So what this means is, this is what this means, in a more simplistic term. You take your first gas about like 3 minutes before you take any other gas. And then when you take gases 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you take all of those within a realm of about 30 seconds of each other. So if you're taking gases 2, 3, 4, 5 closer to your first gas, your build is so fucking bad for Speedlings. And ultimately, why does it make sense that you do it like that? Look at the gas right now. We have 25 minerals in the bank and 794 gas. This is not what you call an efficient build. This is a build that is way too fast on gas. The second part of it is, a lot of people don't think about it like this, but listen to this, okay? If you're a Zerg player and you say this, ViBE, I want to make Hydras. I want to make Hydras, ViBE. Guess what? If you make a Hydralisk Den, okay? If you made a Hydralisk Den, this is a fact. Listen to me. Please listen to me right now. This is a fucking fact. If you make a Hydralisk Den with one gas, only one gas, you start making the Hydralisk Den, okay? You start the Hydra Den with one gas. As you start the Hydra Den, you could start 5 more gases. So gas 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 could all start when you start the Hydra Den. The Hydra Den finishes, and you start spinning larvae on Hydras. You could afford that. You would not have larvae faster than Hydras. You could spend larvae as fast as you get it on Hydras. That is how it works. You actually mine gas faster on one base than it costs to build Hydras out of one base. So if you make gas as you start making Hydras, you will still mine gas faster than you can spend it. So why the fuck would anyone ever pool it up and then fuck your economy up early to then still mine it faster than you can spend it? All it does is it gives you like 1,000 fucking gas bank that you can't spend. Does that make sense? So that's just where inefficiencies come from. Because if you do mineral focused builds, and here's the crazy thing, right? What does a drone cost? What does an overlord cost? What does a hatchery cost? What does a queen cost? What do all these things cost for developing an economy? They all cost only minerals. So if you're over there cranking out 4 gas geysers when you're just making drones and overlords and queens and hatcheries, my question would be, why are we stockpiling gas? There is no reason. Because do you know what that means if you are stockpiling gas and you're the kind of person that thinks that's acceptable? It means that you do not understand the core concept of Zerg, which is larva is the priority. If you're the kind of player that goes like this, well, ViBE, you see, the thing is when my Hydra Den finishes, I want to be able to make 20 Hydras at once. And I want to rush the Hydra Den as well. The only way you can do that is if you're the kind of player that literally fucking stops spinning larva over and over and over, and when you make your Hydra Den, you have like 17 larvae sitting there doing nothing, and you're like, well, I'm rushing Hydras. And the people who play Zerg like that will be forever platinum. That's forever plat territory right there, because you're the kind of person that does not respect the rule of larva, which is spend it as you get it right away. Somebody that spends their larva on drone as fast as they can. They never let larva cap, ever. They never ever let larva cap off, which is 3 per hatchery. If larva has 3 per hatchery, you stop generating it. So you never let it cap, never let it cap, never let it cap. You always make drone. And then as soon as you now have the good economy to actually mine gas faster than you can spend it, and you start making Hydras, that player will make Hydras so much faster overall. Like you'll be that player who's maxed out on pure Hydras at 8 minutes and 30 seconds, as opposed to the player who has the idea of going, I'm going to rush my layer, I'm going to rush all my gas, I'm going to let like 11 larvae sit there, and I'm going to make 11 Hydras really quickly. Well, guess what? That player will have 11 Hydras that are unupgraded and garbage when they're not upgraded. They will have the first 11 Hydras faster. But like I said before, unupgraded Hydras are fucking terrible. They need range and they need speed to be more useful. It's like having a Marine without Stim Pack and Combat Shield. It's like having a Zergling or a Roach without move speed. Like, it sucks ass not having the unit upgrades themselves. So rushing the Hydras early on, they're garbage anyway, so you're not going to do like a 11 Hydra no upgrade timing with like slow, no range Hydras. That would suck ass. Like a bunker with some Marines would destroy you. So What it means is yes, that person who rushes Hydras gets the first 11 like faster, but I honestly think around the time when you have about 17 Hydras, the macro player will get to 17 just as fast as the Hydra rusher player will get to 17. And then the macro player will make, for every 4 Hydras the macro player will make, the Hydra rushing shitty macro player with mass gas investments will make 1. So the guy who makes maxed out Hydras at 200 supply you'll now look at the guy who rushed Hydras and has a really inefficient economy that's like drones, Hydras, drones, Hydras, roaches, drones. It's just all over the place. That guy will be at like 110 supply when the other guy is maxed out. It's not even comparable. Because there was no larva priority with minerals. It was just all over the place. So I hope that concept makes sense. That's why you should never rush your gas. Unless you're literally all in. If your build was to like Nidus Hydras into his base with lurkers or something, sure. That's an acceptable build. Because there's no third base there. There's minimal Hydra... If your build is all about doing a quick tech timing and there's minimal investment of Overlord, Queen, and Drone, and Hatchery... If it's minimal investments, where it's like we're stopping at 2 base saturation and we're going all in, by all means rush your gas. That makes sense for builds like that. But if your build is macro focused, do not ever rush your gas. Because all you do is you max ridiculously slow. But yeah, C9. Honestly, if you just fixed up the problems I just told you, dude, so much room to grow for you. And I would say against the army the army you're playing against, you're making kind of an awkward army. You're making Ravager Hydra Baneling against Mass Marine Widowmine. It's kind of just an awkward army to use for Zerg. I honestly think you would get more value if you just made no Ravagers, no Roaches. You made a certain amount of, you stopped at a certain amount of Hydras. Like we're talking, make like 18 to 20 Hydras. 20 is like a good number. Stop making Hydras at 20 Hydras. And then make mass Lingbane. And the reason why is because your opponent is not going to have the splits of a god. And you want to know what's doing the real damage tree every time you take a fight? That every time I see it, the Banelings are literally doing all of your damage. And all of your Ravagers and Hydras are walking in and just dying. Walking in and dying. Walking in and dying. And you're wasting so much gas on over making Hydras. And you're also wasting a bunch of gas on making Ravagers. You could have more Banes with that. You have so many Hydras. The reason why you don't want to have this many Hydras, you have 29 Hydras already right now, and I wouldn't be surprised if you make more. Also, never ever get double weapon upgrades. You're overemphasizing what Hydras do here. Against bio, let me explain this concept too now. Against units that have fast attack speed, low damage with high rate of fire. A Marine is a perfect example of this. This motherfucker hits like 3 times a second when he has Stimpak on. Okay? His attack speed goes down to like 0.3 essentially. When you fucking fight a Marine who can shoot you 3 times a second for 8 damage each time, he's doing 24 damage a second. Armor is pretty impactful there, because if you have 0 armor, well, he's going to do 24 damage a second. That's fucking crazy if he's got 50 of these bad boys all doing 24 damage a second. That's insane. But if you have 3 armor, or let's say 2 armor because you match his damage, now it's no longer 24 damage a second. He shoots, instead of 8 times, 3 times with 8 damage each time, he shoots 3 times with 6 damage each time, and now it's only 18 damage a second instead of 24. You're basically giving him, if you had Carapace, it would be like he's getting another full auto attack in the rotation of his 3 hits. Like a 4th one's for free. It's crazy if you don't get Carapace against high rate of fire units. Because what all it does is if you don't have any Carapace at all, you're allowing the Terran to literally kill your units before they can even really engage you. Like your units can't even like collapse onto him because they die so fast. And you're overemphasizing DPS for your Hydras, which don't fucking matter, because if your Lings and Banes cannot even thin out the army of the bio enough because they all die so fast. And now it's just a bunch of Marines fighting a bunch of Hydras. Hydras versus Marine medevac are going to lose every single time because Marines equal supply. 2 Marines with 2/2 upgrades versus 1 Hydra with just weapon only. 2 Marines are going to fucking obliterate a Hydra. Especially if they're being healed by medevacs. Which is just going to keep them going longer. Like your Hydras are just going to be like just dying immediately. They're going to just drop. Hydras like are basically against Marine medevac, like bio medevac with Hydraling Bane. You never ever want to be going mass Hydras either way, no matter what. You never want to be going mass Hydras. All you want for the Hydras is you want to maintain them as long as you can. You want to keep them alive forever. Like you want to make 20 and just never lose them. That's perfect. And the reason why that's good is because Hydras are not actually supposed to kill the Marines. And what you're doing to yourself by making a fuckload of them and also getting upgrades for them for weapon upgrades on Hydras is you're putting them in a situation where they actually kind of do need to kill the Marines now. You're overemphasizing Hydra investments. What Hydras are supposed to do is they're supposed to like overpower Marines as they spread because the Marines are actually occupied dealing with the Ling Bane. But even more importantly than that, Hydras are really supposed to help overpower the medevacs, potential other air units, and also maybe overpower like a tank or something, or help overpower like a Widow Mine. They're just support. They're not supposed to be main focus. So the fact that you're making them main focus is very bad. It means your army is going to be very weak because your main focus should be Ling Bane, and you're undervaluing Ling Bane right now a lot. Also, if you find yourself in a situation where you're like, ViBE, I fucking hate Terran though, that just go Widow Mine bio. It's really annoying. What do I do? You know what you could do? You could go melee upgraded Ling Bane with Hydra, and then eventually you could literally add in Lurkers like you just did. And you don't even need to have weapon upgrades for Lurkers to beat the shit out of bio. A Lurker, just so you know, a Lurker does 20 damage by default to a Marine, okay? 20 damage. Okay? It does 26 when it's fully upgraded with weapons to a Marine. It does the same damage to a Widow Mine because these units are not heavy. They're light. They're not armored. So, what is the hit points of a Marine? It's 55. What's the hit points of a Widow Mine? It's 90. Here's the beautiful thing about having an unupgraded Lurker versus a Marine. It's going to take 3 hits either way to kill a Marine. You have a higher chance to kill it in 3 hits if you have weapon upgrades because of the chance of a medevac to heal the Marine. But if you have Lurkers zoning out Marines, they're not going to just run into Lurkers, otherwise they're going to die either way. So if you have 3 Lurkers, shoot a Marine. If it does or doesn't have a weapon upgrade early on, you're probably going to kill it. Now, obviously, if if armor upgrades come into factor here for the Marines, then yes, it might actually kick it over to now being 4 hits to have a Lurker to kill a Marine. But realistically, here's another part about this that matters. When the fuck are you ever just going to make like exactly enough Lurkers to kill 1 Marine at a time? If you're going to go Lurkers against this, if you're going to go Lurkers in your addition to your army against like Bio Marine with Widow Mines, you're probably going to make like 10 Lurkers. Because 10 Lurkers is like a safe, solid concave of Lurkers that can really just dish the damage into Marines. So if you have 10 Lurkers, you don't gotta give a fuck about like that 1 Lurker to like kill a Marine faster, because we're not working with 1 Lurker. So if you have Lurkers, even if they don't have weapon upgrades, they will still kick the shit out of Bio if Bio tries to like push you with Widow Mines. So that'd be an easy way to fix it. And if your Lurkers have Carapace upgrades, they also live longer. They will, if Marines actually dive into it, they won't die as fast. They'll live longer, and they just kill more Marines as well. You can always get weapon upgrades for the missile attack after your 3-3 on ground and ground melee and Carapace. So you get missiles last, so you can eventually upgrade your Lurkers more as the game goes on later than that. But definitely don't prioritize it. Skipping Carapace against Bio is like a guaranteed loss. You can only ever skip Carapace. This is the last thing I'll say, then I think I'm going to probably stop here, guys. This analysis is like, this is a lot. I'll just keep going. You're a good guy, C9. I'll keep going. This is a fucking super long analysis, though. The only time you can ever go Carapace against, the only time you can ever skip Carapace or armor upgrades against something is when you're fighting a unit that has a very slow attack speed with a very high damage number, like a siege tank. And if you go, well, guess what? If I have a Zergling with Carapace and I run it at a siege tank, that siege tank does 40 damage, and my Zergling has 35 hit points. That siege tank is going to one-shot my Zergling whether or not I have 0 upgrades, 1 upgrade, 2 upgrades, or max upgrades on Carapace. Every single time my Zergling will be one-shot. It doesn't matter. Well, then at that point, armor upgrades do not change breakpoints of damage numbers. Like, it doesn't go, oh, well, now suddenly the tank has to shoot you twice. The only time Carapace ever matters is if it increases the number that the unit has to shoot you to kill you. It's the only time it matters. So it doesn't mean shit against units that have high damage with low attack speed, like a Thor or a tank or a fucking like an Immortal or an Archon. Things that hit hard, like Dark Templar. Things that go like whoosh, whoosh, just like, you know what I mean? Like, just fucking hits you hard with like lower rate of fire. But a Marine that's like just fucking shooting a machine gun the whole time and he's going 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, 8. That fucking matters a lot. That matters a ton. And if you got 50 of them shooting you, that matters even more. That's so important to have Carapace there. And you already are going lurkers too, so you have the idea of it. You definitely don't need to prioritize weapons for these units. Melee, Carapace, get ranged weapons last. Nice little run by here by you. This is also a big reason why you want to have melee and Carapace, because your Lings, not only having melee upgrades is nice to kill shit with counterattacks, but it's also really nice when you engage actual retention and your Lings don't just die in 2 seconds because they don't have Carapace. If they have max Carapace, it's even harder for him to stop this. It's also really hard for him to push your fucking army. Because again, you gotta realize there's overkill, right? This is the biggest thing of all. This amount of lurkers, you made 14 lurkers. The difference of them doing 20 or 24 damage is meaningless when like since you have 14 of them, it's very realistic that like 6 of them at a time are gonna shoot into the same area, or maybe like 8 of them or whatever. There's gonna be a lot of lurkers having overlap of damage. So if you already would have killed the Marine with like 3 lurkers, and now like 5 of them shoot that area, does it really matter if they did or didn't have more damage on top of that? It's like, instead of overkilling them by like 40 damage, now you overkilled them by like 60 or like 58, because if you have all of them having weapon upgrades. You know what I mean? Because again, what's happening here is the lurkers fall into the realm of territory where it's a very high damage unit with a low rate of fire. One lurker hit into a bunch of Marines can do like 180 damage. Just one hit. Because it hits like fucking 7 Marines or something, or 8 Marines, or 9 Marines. Which is very realistic because they bunch up so hard. And then it hits each one of them for 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, 20. And if you have like 8 lurkers or 10 lurkers all doing the same thing, one fucking volley from lurkers and it's like, just Marines die everywhere. Like, look at these Marines right here. They can't even engage you, and it's not because of weapon upgrades. I'm stressing this point because this will lose you games every fucking time, no matter what league you're in. You'll never go above where you are if you skip important upgrades, and it's because I'm trying to explain concept as to like why the fuck it matters. It's so important. I want to just watch him engage lurker and just watch how fast they die either way. Like, look at that. He walks in for half a second, and, like, half the Marines in the front just got, like, insta-killed. Yeah, you get the point, though. Carap is pretty good. And now, at this point, this game is kind of mostly over because you are starving. You have no income. So, it's all about, like, maintaining economy, and you both tried to fuck each other's economies over, but he did a better job than you did in that department. So now you're in a situation where you're all in. So if your army doesn't win the game, you die. But now you're base trading, and he's kind of letting you do it. So now it's kind of, now the game is kind of going into a weird spot where he might actually win. Okay, this now just got interesting. You saw the command center as well. So let's talk about base trades. In this situation, like, I'm glad you actually scouted it. In this situation, the best thing you could do is understand the range of units. The best thing you could do is not dive the command center. Do not fucking dive the command center. You actually have a better army than Terran does right now. All you have to do to win the game is put your lurkers on the edge of his liberation fields. The edge. And then when he tries to defend his liberators from, like, your corruptors that will now engage with his marines will push forward to stop your corruptors from killing liberators. All of his marines will run into lurker range. And then as he runs the marines forward, you just aim move with all your hydras. You would fucking destroy his army if you did that. Very likely. And or you don't have to even push it. You play it patient and you try to just, like, have lurkers set up, and you don't even get ready to push forward with everything. You just poke forward for a second, like, ball up your corruptors, poke forward, try to pop a liberator, and then run away when the marines arrive. And if he chases you into lurkers, wonderful. We'll see how you play this out. If you throw away the corruptors, you're just going to throw away the game. Yeah, that was just a sloppy engagement, unfortunately. So that was a moment there too where, for instance, you saw where his army was right here, right? You saw his army right here. This is just paying attention, right? You scouted his command center. That was wonderful. Well done there. You see his army like this. You see it moving north. And you see it again right there too. If you were paying attention, you would know he's coming here. But here's the thing too. Let me explain it like this. This is maybe help people, like, understand how to base trade better. You're fucking dead, right? You have no way to recover from this game. You can't even you could. I know it's kind of covering here, but you have enough minerals to you have like 225 minerals. You have enough minerals to build a larva somewhere else, like here. These larvae are not going to die because they're on creep still. You could, if you wanted to, like, build a larva here, build a gas somewhere else, whatever. You have gases here. But if he kills these gases, and you have gases here too, and you even have drones here. So you have the idea of, like, you have some base tradey shit still there, but you're being revealed because you have no hatchery. He knows that. He knows where your gases are. It feels kind of like you're in like a bit of pressure here, right? Now, but here's the thing. He can't build anything either right now, and the reason why is because you killed his entire base, and he has nothing. You got to realize that as a Zerg player, you could do things like have overlords over high ground area, or, like, flying away, and yes, you could have mobile depots, so you could, if you still had money to do it, you could actually rebuild units, even though you had an army that's this big. Because even though it's like, oh, Zerg only has one hatchery, Zerg could have one hatchery that's out of 200 supply because you have, like, 40 fucking overlords or, like, 30 overlords over here. Who knows? Terran doesn't know that. You could. However, Terran can't do that. If you killed his whole fucking base, and you know that when you got to his base, there's not, like, 40 depots over here, like 20 depots over here. It's just a command center. That's all he's got. He's got nothing. So he can't actually build units right now. So you have a moment. You shouldn't feel like you're like, go, 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 like where you have to like go now. You have a moment to set it up. And the best, how can you best set this up? Just fucking, number one, pay attention to the minimap. You would have saw that shit right a second ago, that he was coming here a second ago. Number two, use some of your fucking changelings. You have 8 overseers. Full. Each of them. One of them is almost not, 2 of them almost not full, but they're pretty much all full. There's so many fucking scouts right here. You could actually stop your army for a second, shit out a bunch of overseers and go like this. Scout, 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 scout. Like 30 fucking changelings running at his base. And find out where his army is. And as soon as you see where his army is, you can always burrow lurkers before he's arriving to you. Because even if he kills the changelings, he still has to reveal where he is to kill the changeling. So the fact that you just kind of like ran into him, especially since he's scanning you on top of that, this is just fucking no reason to do that. You just lost like half your hydras and lurkers and your overseers and like almost all your corruptor. Almost all your hydras even. You lost so much shit right there. And that literally just took your supply down from like 110 down to 40. That was brutal. And now I agree with what you're doing now, because now you're fucking dead. So going panic mode to try and like attack him is how you should go. But look how fast your Hydra is just melted right there. It's good. You don't have Carapace. So again, I didn't really want to talk a lot about the in game here. We went over the in game a lot faster than the early game because the train was already fucking derailed at that point. The game was super derailed. But the early game, I hope some of those things helped you make sense of StarCraft overall as a whole. Anyone who listened to this whole thing, if your early game has problems, your whole game's going to have fucking problems. One more time, proper gas timings for Hydra Bane. C9, I want to make this very clear. Your sentence, I want your sentence to end at proper gas timings, period. It doesn't matter what composition you're making. Stop thinking about it like that. It does not matter what you fucking make. It matters what your opener is. And if your opener is a tech all-in, faster gas is good. If your opener is a macro-oriented speedling expand, so you're going like 3 hatcheries off of speedlings, do not take gas for a long time. Because again, queens, hatcheries, overlords, drones, none of those cause gas, so you should not take gas at all. And again, this is what the timings are. 18 gas. So 17, 18, 17. Hatch gas pool. Get speed with 3 drones. Take 2 drones off. Do not put 2 drones back on that gas to go to a total of 3 until 2 fully saturated mineral lines. Then finally, take gases 2 and 3 when your third base has 12 drones on it, and take gases 4, 5, 6 when all 3 mineral lines are at 16 out of 16 and you're still making drones. Okay? And if you're doing it correctly, just know on the game clock, you can have all your fucking gases on 3 bases and all 3 mineral lines fully saturated with a drone count that is above 66 before 6 minutes. Before 6 minutes. Let's take one final little glance here at what you were at 6 minutes. You had 35 drones at 6 minutes. At 6 minutes, if you went for a macro-focused defensive build with safety speedlings, you could have about 75 drones. 70 drones if you're playing really efficient. 66 is respectable for Diamond. 66 is a good overall threshold that's like not bad. But that's like for like defensive play, that yeah, 66 is like at 6 minutes, 66 is where the threshold should be. I'm going to throw out a number here and say this, okay? Just so you have an idea of time. I have done the exact build I just said. Safety lings with 3 base speedling expand with queens. And I have hit 66 drones. 66 drones at 5 minutes and 20 seconds. I have hit it at that fast. 40 seconds before this, when all you have is 35 drones. I hope that helps. Like your shit's off. All the reasons why we talked about. Definitely fix some of that stuff, and it'll help you a lot. But thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you liked it. I hope really overall, I hope anyone learned something from this. This was a fucking super long replay analysis. This thing was like 2 hours. But much love. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, peace, guys. Take it easy, and I'll see you next time. Later.